I owe you folks a Spore video, huh? Well, more like several, but this is a start. In my Galactic Adventures video from forever ago, I said, and who knows, maybe we'll see some of the old gods make a resurgence. Okay, one of my pipe dream goals with my Spore videos was to perform a couple chest compressions on the Spore community and get people back into either making adventures or just new creations just for the love of the game. And it actually did work to some extent. I've had a handful of people reach out in-game in Spore and say, hey, I saw your videos and I started making things again. And it legitimately makes me a little bit emotional every time. But in both of the big Spore videos that I've done, I've used a creator by the name of Pizzalis as an example for a great Spore player. I've considered Pizzalis one of the greats since the olden days. They've been around forever, they are one of the elder gods of Spore, and pals, I cannot believe this, but Pizzalis themselves hit me up in Spore and said, hey, I got your YouTube videos recommended to me and they made me want to start playing again. And as a result, Pizzalis produced one of the sickest adventures I have ever seen in this game. I really want to share this one with all of you because it was your likes, your comments, and your willingness to give me the time of day that had my videos kind of pop off and wind up in Pizzalis' recommended feed. It's like a collaborative effort and it makes me really, really happy. The adventure is the Big Butter Battle Book 1. It's all inspired by Dr. Seuss, and there's a lot to this adventure, so I'm gonna play through it once first, and then later I'll pop it into the editor to break down some of the intricacies. So with that all said, let's begin. Grandpa says he's got another story for me, but it's not safe out here. I need to find Daniel and get him to the Yukari Yoke.
Over here. This way, grandchild.
On the last day of summer, 10 hours before fall, my grandfather took me out to the wall. For a while he stood silent, then finally he said, with a very sad shake of his very old head,
As you know, on this side of the wall we are Yuks, and on that side of the wall live the Zooks.
Then my grandfather said,
It's high time that you knew of the terribly horrible thing that Zooks do. In every Zook village and every Zook town, every Zook eats their bread with the butter side down. Every Zook must be watched. They have kinks in their souls. That's why as a youth, I made watching my goal. Watching Zooks for the Zook Watching Border Patrol.
Cadet, we need a patrol. Today these Zooks are out of control. If a butter-down Zook comes up close to the wall, with your switch in hand, approach and stand tall. What a joke this wall is. Yookish cowardice manifest. In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high, and I could look any Zook square in the eye. If one came up close, I'd give them a twitch, with my tough-tufted prickly snickberry switch. Good morning, Cadet. What a beautiful day. A fine one for a buttered-down breakfast, I'd say. I've just had a slice as I sat on the wall. Your Yookish defenses are a joke to us all. What are you gonna do? Are you not a patrol? I've brought my whole village here for this butter-down stroll. Unfortunately, this day, my patrol I had botched. My snickberry switch was with the Southern Gatewatch. Then, one terrible day, a very rude Zook by the name of Van Itch snuck up and slingshotted my snickberry switch. We will not be spooked, and we will not be stopped by Yooks who eat bread with the butter on top. With my broken off switch and my head hung in shame, to the Chief Yukaru in great sorrow I came. But he said,
My dear boy, you are not to blame, and the Zooks will be sorry that they started this game.
We'll dress you right up in a fanciest suit. We'll give you a fanciest slingshot to shoot. And he ordered the boys in the back room to figure how to build me some sort of triple sling jigger. With my triple sling jigger, I sure felt much bigger. I marched to the wall with great vim and great vigor, right up to Van Itch with my hand on the trigger. Van Itch looked quite sickly. He ran off quite quickly. I'm unhappy to say he came back the next day. In a spiffy new suit with a big new machine, and he snarled as he said, looking frightfully mean, "Shoot if you must with your triple sling jigger, for I now also have my hand on a trigger. My wonderful weapon, the Jigger Rock Snatch'em. We'll fling 'em right back just as fast as we catch 'em. We'll have no more gumption, we'll take no more gup from yooks who eat bread with the butter side up." Rorted, thwarted, mission aborted! "I have failed, sire," I sobbed as I made my report to the Chief Yookaroo in the headquarters fort. But he said,
"Boy, you've done nothing of the sort. Our slingshots have failed, that was old-fashioned stuff. Slingshots, dear boy, are not modern enough. All we need is some newfangled kind of gun. The boys in the back room have already begun to think up a walloping whizzing-o one. The bright boys are thinking they're on the right track. They'll think one up quick and we'll send you right back."
They thought up a good one, they certainly did. They thought up a gun called the Kickapoo Kid, which they loaded with powerful Poo-a-Doo powder, and ants' eggs and bees' legs and dried fried clam chowder. And they carefully trained a real smart dog named Daniel to serve as the country's first gun-toting spaniel. Then Daniel, the Kickapoo Spaniel, and I marched to the wall with our heads held up high, while everyone cheered and their cheers filled the sky. Fight! Fight for the land of butter side up! Do or die! Well, we didn't do, but we didn't quite die. But we sure worsted, poor Daniel and I. Van Itch was there too, and he said, the old pig, "The boys in the back room have invented this rig. The 8-nozzled elephant-toted boom blitz. It shoots high explosive sour cherry stone pits." Poor Daniel and I were scared out of our wits. Once again, by the Zooks, I was beat. Once again, I limped home from the wall in defeat. When suddenly, I heard boom-ba and a diddle-dee-dill. Our butter-up band marched over the hill. The Chief Yookaroo had sent them to meet me, along with the right side-up song girls to greet me. "Oh, be faithful! Believe in thy butter!" They lifted my spirits right out of the gutter.
Forget what has happened out there today, boy. Here we've just voted to make you Chief General. You've been promoted. Your pretty new uniform is ready. Get in it. The big butter battle is coming. You're going to begin it. And this time we know we're certain to win it. The boys in the back have finally figured out how. Just wait till you see what they've putted up now.
As Grandpa was talking, there was a huge flash of light. I've never known anything quite so especially bright. The end. Maybe. The story has in fact only just begun. You died. It felt like a rapturous abduction. But death might be avoidable. Click replay to begin puzzle mode. Ignore your grandfather's story and look for your missing dog instead. Okay, so that's the main story all done. It's a commentary on the arms race that nations partake in over petty squabbles that will always lead to their mutually assured destruction. It also kind of touches on how the people in charge will use loyalty and blind patriotism to manipulate the youth into laying down their lives for things that don't really matter. It's great. But to keep that portion of the video concise, I cut out a lot of shit. And I want to keep this part concise as well, because if you have the ability to, you really should go play it yourself just to fiddle around and experience it. But I did want to call specific attention to a few different touches that I thought were really cool before I go into just specifically the puzzle mode. These are little statues that give you some dialogue when you click them. You realize as you go that these are other different tangents that the grandpa went on when he was retelling the main Border Patrol story. I don't know if it was clear or not, but the whole main mission takes place before the intro sequence. So when you do start the puzzle mode, you're walking around in the aftermath of the nuclear war that the main mission led to. These memories that you can find always end with the grandkid going, "Grandpa!" to get his focus back on the main story that he was telling. It's so ridiculously creative and thoughtful, and it really keeps you immersed the whole time. It's sick. There's also a spot like this in the mountains, right? It's a little thicket that this botanist is cultivating during the main story. When you restart and play puzzle mode, that thicket has completely overgrown and covered everything. Pizzalis was careful to really age the world to show you how things changed, and then you have to figure out how to maneuver through that changed environment. It's really, really cool. I can't wait to get to it. But this is also a good angle to pay respects to how good Pizzalis is at this game. They absolutely nailed the Seussian aesthetic. They crushed it. Look at these bridges. Oh my, they're perfect. But without too much more rambling, let me just try and show you the brilliance packed into this puzzle mode, because it is off the charts. Okay, so the puzzle mode is sick because you have no objectives, right? It's Spore, so there's only one set of objectives that you can have a player complete to progress the story. So in puzzle mode, it's up to you to remember everything, piece together information, and use your knowledge of how the adventure editor works to make things happen. The one clue that you're given at the end of the main mission is to ignore Grampy and look for your dog instead. I initially went this way, which leads to some very nasty things that we'll come back to, but it also leads over here, where we can find the key to the underground bunker. This is a super sick touch because, like I said, the main mission all takes place before the first act puzzle mode. So in puzzle mode, you read on the bunker memo that the guard left a key in a special spot that only he knows about. When you go and play the main mission, that guard tells you that, oh, if he had some butter up bread, he'd love to go and eat it by his favorite spot at the lake. So then in the main mission, when you give him the bread, he shows you the secret spot that he goes to. He walks over to it and you can follow him. Then, when you restart it in puzzle mode, you know where to go to find the key. Is that not crazy? God, I love it so much already. It's so cool. When you open the bunker with the key, inside there's just sadness. But on this carving on the wall, it says at the end to explore Act 8. And if it means that you're supposed to come back in here during Act 8, I can't figure it out. So if you want to take a crack at it, you should. Now, back to that nasty stuff. You may have noticed that I have no health and do no damage. To get through these things, yeah, I could just sneak, but what's the fun in that? So I think the next thing to do is to find my dog with a rocket launcher on his back. Ma's out here and says to remember that Daniel, the spaniel, likes to go on long runs. Okay, well, the only place where he could be running around is in the park, because I do not see any movement whatsoever out here. But the park is closed, so how do I get past the... Ah, okay, cool. That'll do just fine. Inside the park, we sneak past the Fukaroles up here, and then there's Daniel the Spaniel. Not only can Daniel blast these birds, but he can also blast the barricades that are keeping me from getting into the town center. There's a machine called the Butter Up Sucker, and it's wandering around, so maybe, just maybe, there's a reason why it's here? The city hall is blocked by a snickberry thicket, and I know that I need special trimmers to get through it because those trimmers were left right in my face during the main mission. Only thing is, they were on the other side of the wall, and if I hop back up here to take a look over the wall, what's that? Huh. A big old pile of butter. Okay, so this one took me forever to figure out, but in Act 8, when you're supposed to go up the elevator and end the mission, you can just walk past the elevator, go back outside, and see some other things going on. Earlier in the mission, there's a Zook in a cage with tabs of butter that people are throwing at him. It's pretty messed up. But when you go back outside in Act 8, there's a giant pile of butter in the middle of the town square. The guards give you some hints saying that the Butter Up Sucker needs a receiver to work correctly. So when you find it and give it to the machine, it gets rid of the pile of butter, and you see that the Yooks stoned this Zook to death in the middle of town, but used butter instead of rocks. This is one of the touches where you see that while the grandpa was retelling the story, he kind of glossed over the horrific shit that they would do to the Zooks to avoid feeling shame towards himself and his country. Sounds familiar. Anyhow, back in puzzle mode, I know how to use the butter up sucker now, so I give it the receiver and it follows me hunting for butter. With Daniel and the sucker in tow, I get through the monsters and then make my way past the wall. There's a version of Ma here as a Zook indirectly telling me that she got killed by our bombs, which I will let you interpret on your own, because over yonder is the butter pile. Now that I've gotten here, the sucker clears it for me and I'm free to roam about the irradiated Snickberry thicket. I find Van Itch, the villain from the main story here, but he's just broken and sad. No fight left in him. In the thicket, I also find the Snickberry trimmers, hooray, and a Snickberry seed. I know what the trimmers are for, but is the seed used for anything? Not that I saw just yet. Wait, who's that? Huh, okay. This fella tells me he's headed off soon, but not without a Snickberry seed. Alright partner, there you go, here's the seed, and away he runs. Might as well follow him, right? He takes me on a little journey through the countryside, passing over the upper ridge of the lake, finding hidden monuments, but ultimately ending up here at these giant bridges. I make my way to the top and psst, it's a message from Pizzalis congratulating me on finding the hidden Easter egg. It also includes a link to something pretty neat that I don't think it would be fair to show everyone, but it's something pretty special. It's very cool. After that, all that's left is to take the trimmers back to City Hall, get inside, and head to the back rooms. This is where Pizzalis leaves their closing remarks, and their hopes that we'll disassemble all of our nuclear weapons and strive to create a better, more peaceful future. It's also where Pizzalis shouts out my video, which is just such a nice thing to do, and with that all said and done, I do believe that that's everything I wanted to share with you. So thank you for watching my Pizzalis presentation. There are a lot of details, again, like I said, I glossed over, that you really should experience yourself if you have the ability to, but yeah, that is the Big Butter Battle Book 1, long overdue. If you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed Pizzalis' work as much as I did. I would like to make a few other videos like this in the future, so it would really help me out if you could also leave a comment if I skipped too much, if I dragged on in spots, or if you wanted me to actually go in and break down how Pizzalis made 2 adventures in 1 with advanced behaviors, but in any case, yeah, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to improve. In any case, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!